Hey everyone, and welcome to our Clips and Highlights channel. If you want to keep up with everything we've got going on, make sure you subscribe to the main Grinding Gear YouTube channel, which is where we actually do these streams. That's right, we stream on YouTube every Monday, Thursday, and Friday. Unless I'm editing over this with days of the week that we have changed to. We also have the podcast available everywhere. Apple, Spotify, Google. Maybe your grandma started a podcast platform. We're probably on it. Wherever you get your podcast, make sure to check out the Grinding Gear podcast to hear more about all of the nerdy bullshit we're up to.
Toonie, thank you. Said, if I remember correctly, Luke Kyle, the guy who made the Fall and Rise series, said he made two versions of this first episode, a real one and a jokey one, and accidentally uploaded the jokey one. I don't remember if he ever replaced it. Also, hi. Holy shit. Well, does anyone know what one we're about to watch?
Yeah, what are we about to watch? Is this the right one? It looks right. It looks like it looks proper. They're making fun of the horrible map we've seen before. This looks right.
The maps are not, you know.
This looks
they
right.
could use some work. Kurt, thanks for the tip.
Time to hit play.
Let's play.
So I guess the Speakers Network used to be Speakers Pipeline, judging by the...
Whoa.
Oh, wait, what? Oh, this is like a graphic.
Oh, it's the IGN review.
Yeah, the IGN review, 5.5, mediocre. Wow.
Terrible interface, monotonous.
What is this? Graphics amazing.
I believe this is After Effects.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's probably like a preset, but it was good.
Welcome to the Fall and Rise of Final Fantasy XIV, a deep dive into how the game we now know and love as Final Fantasy XIV: A Realm Reborn, Heavensward, and soon to be.
Oh, this is episode 1. Episode 1. Is this the joke one? We're good.
Stormblood
We're going.
used to be called one of the worst MMORPGs on the 2010 market. To fully understand the game and its faults, we must pop the time back all the way to 2002. All this chaos and wonder, Final Fantasy XI was announced for the PS2 2002. All this chaos.
Oh, it was just a sound clip. Okay.
Wonder, Final Fantasy XI was announced for the PS2 on May 16th, 2002 in Japan, and in November the same year for PC. Just an important side note for those of you that haven't played Final Fantasy XI, you had to add a hard drive to your PlayStation 2, and it looked, well, let's just say that it looked early 2000.
Oh, look at that.
Wow. The game was a big hit in Japan, where it didn't really have a lot of competition, with the exception of games like Anarchy Online, Dark Age of Camelot, and RuneScape.
Oh.
Following the game's release on PC, it picked up speed, and in 2006, the game reported that it has somewhere around 200 to 300,000 active players logging in every day. The game was praised for its graphics and battle system, the two things Square Enix, or Squaresoft at the time, would pride themselves with on pretty much every Final Fantasy game. Fast forward to 2005. Squaresoft is now Square Enix, and the company is eager to create a successor to Final Fantasy XI. There were speculations internally whether or not to make it a direct sequel to Final Fantasy XI, a Final Fantasy XI-2. This had worked before with Final Fantasy X, but it was unclear how this would work in practice. At this time, Final Fantasy XI
bikinis and
was
microphones.
On its
That's how they did it
second
for 10 too.
Yeah.
Chains of
Dude, that was a bit of a switch up, right? Wholesome box 10 had. You're like, mom and dad would like buying this. And then you go to get 2 and you're like, oh.
Yo, shout out to my mom. She bought me 10-2, never batted an eye.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I got a lot of crap at the rental store when I would grab anything of that nature.
Did you?
Oh yeah.
Did you? Yeah.
Promathia, and the active player numbers were still rising. However, it was eventually decided it would become a main title Final Fantasy game, and work on the game started sometime that year. Codenamed Rapture, the developers were still worried that making it a main series title would be risky, as the features they were planning to implement were considered too radical internally. It didn't really have a lot of competition.
Pardon me. I clicked the button.
Too radical is how I describe Ninja Turtles to anyone who hasn't seen it before.
Internally. Also, just to clarify, the too radical part means that they were trying to make it a little different from Final Fantasy XI. Little bit. The staff hired for Codename Rapture was producer Hiromichi Tamaka, the head honcho and original producer of Final Fantasy XI. The director was Nobuaki Komoto, who himself was the director of Final Fantasy XI. The game's writer, Yaoko Sato, had been the main scenario writer for
It's literally the only photo I could find.
Final Fantasy XI.
I know that feeling when you're making a
Are
video.
you noticing a pattern here? Because I am.
I like his
So
watch.
let's go over the battle plan. The game was to be built around a main story, complemented by side stories. Also, leaves. Guild leaves were supposed to be the future of MMOs, according to Square Enix.
Wow.
The goddamned leave plates were plastered on pretty much every promotional material for the game. But we'll get to that later. Unfortunately for Sato, the incredibly inefficient work environment and lack of communication between departments, the setting and gameplay had already been decided before she was brought on board as the main scenario writer, which meant that she had to consult the rest of the team every time she wished to use any of Eorzea's main locations in a certain way.
Oof.
Yeah.
The story of
That's not
Final Fantasy XIV was
No.
supposed to focus on the conflict between the 5 main races of Eorzea and the troublesome beast tribes and their stupid primals. Looking at you, Titan.
Opinion.
Wait, you didn't even make it to 1.0, did you? We'll get back to you later as well. Anyway, the story would also feature a third conflict with the mighty Garlean Empire, serving as the title's iconic bad guys. Speaking of iconic, the game's logo was to once again be designed by the extremely talented Yoshitaka Amano. Seriously, this is the guy behind pretty much every single Final Fantasy logo, so take a look at his previous work. It is
I met him
Oh,
once. He's
absolutely
also
amazing.
Oh yeah, at art school, right? Didn't he show up at your school?
Yeah,
or
he did a
something?
demo at my college.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, he
badass.
did a demo at Ringling College of Art and Design in Sarasota, Florida.
I like the butt just sitting in the middle of Realm Reborn.
All of it.
But
Yeah, I'm sure he'll show you it. I guess it's not a Realm Reborn yet. We'll get to it later.
What's the sign
Wait,
around?
yeah,
Oh, there it
yeah,
is.
right there, the butt.
Oh, you're not wrong.
There's a butt, just right at front
Oh.
center, butt.
Someone slapped that on the side of a Honda Civic.
And the importance of weapons, and take a look at this logo.
Look at
for
that
a
butt.
second. When I first read what the concept was, I got a little bit confused, but don't worry, it will make sense a few seconds later. The concept for this logo is a wheel. Okay, so the wheel in question was a wheel of adventurers, arranged so their backs were exposed, and they needed to rely on their comrades and friends for support. So as you
okay.
can see, it's sort of like a wheel. Pretty neat, huh? So back to the game development.
Cool.
Art director
High concept.
Akihito
Yeah,
Yoshida.
it's a little art classy, but mainly that's the main guy that is kind of like weird to me. Like this dude looks like Omega kind of.
A little. I mean, it's Amano
Is that-
style. It's kind of how Amano draws eyes.
Is that like another Lalafell? There, it's
I
like
think those are 2 Lalafels there. You got 1, 2.
the longer you stare at it, the more Lalafells you discover.
Pretty neat, huh? So back to the game development. Art director Akihito Yoshida was one of the few department leaders that had no previous experience from MMOs. So he had to adjust from working on a single, static project where what was done, to creating artwork assets for a game that was supposed to be constantly updated and expanded. Needless to
The
say,
PP
he had
Palace.
some
Oh
serious
yeah.
work ahead of him. Now, when
Oh,
the
there you go. Is that everyone's favorite Copperbell?
Oh,
Could be.
shit, you might be
Not
right.
really White Stone and Copperbell, but then again, you might.
But I'm not sure it is, Kyle, because it looks cool.
team finally sat down and started planning the actual game world, they quickly decided to once again use a high fantasy aesthetic, and the world was supposed to encourage exploration. Yeah, we'll get back to that later as well, don't worry. With the more abstract ideas ready, they started with the actual world. The team created a detailed profile of Hydaelyn, including its relation with other planets, ecosystems, climate, and geography
Planets.
to promote a
said
sense
Excuse me,
of
please call it the
realism.
source, because
Yeah,
that's what
seriously.
I'm used to.
Well, technically, I don't. Maybe it'd have been on other planets, right? Would Hydaelyn have already hop on pop Zodiark in the original Final Fantasy XIV lore? Or is that a Final Fantasy?
Yes,
Fantasy?
but we wouldn't have known yet.
Yeah, because they would have been building that way.
Because that was because original 14 into A Realm Reborn was only this most recent calamity.
The source was spoilers and ARR.
Oh, interesting.
Apparently, this is a big question.
Oh my!
I don't.
Oh my! Oh,
I don't
wow! I thought that was innocuous enough, and we're getting smiles out the
I
yin
don't
yang.
understand how. What? Wait.
There's literally nothing useful we can say about that. Hey, good on you, chat.
Wait,
Look at you controlling yourself.
The game that you can't play has, I guess, Endwalker could get into it. I guess. Okay. Oh, okay, sure. I just didn't. I didn't expect smiles here.
I know the team would soon get a lot of flack for this game, but my gods, their attention to detail is admirable. As development continued, the world was being sculpted by the art department. It was decided that larger seamless zones were more desirable than a series of smaller zones with zone dividers to stick with their realism mantra.
Oh
In
man, I'm
addition to this,
nostalgic
they
for old
supposedly
Wacom
put a lot of
tablets.
Yeah,
Holy shit!
How
Zones with
is she
zone-
holding that correctly? It's a weird
You
grip.
can hold it however you want.
I guess that's true. You can hold it however you want. I've always
But
held
that's
mine.
are you talking about the pen?
Yeah, the
that's
pen.
a pretty normal pen grip. How do you hold a pen?
I hold it more.
I've got my stylus right here.
Yeah, you
Like this.
you lean into it. You lean into it. You kind of got you got your fingers.
Well, yeah,
loose.
I'm more like this, but there's
Yeah.
definitely times where I go upright.
But they're like
If I'm doing like
they're like-
really fine detail, I go like this.
yeah. Ah.
Yeah. This
dividers
is like
to
literally
stick
the
with
rubber's rubbing off. I've had this thing since college. I got this in like 08 and it still works. I love it.
What is this? Is called iconography. I love this. I love.
their
I mean, these are
realism.
just beautiful little illustrated paintings that are probably used for icons.
Yeah,
but
I think it's a great thing.
In
I
addition
would call
to
that a
this,
spot illustration is what I would call that.
they supposedly put a lot of effort into the
Gatekeeping art.
topography and
No, I wanna know if
guideline
I'm
of
holding my
environment
pen
to
wrong.
ensure they didn't seem
I think she's right.
repetitive. It would appear, however, that they would make one asset, say this passage right here in Lenosha, and then evenly distribute this all over the zone. Sometimes mirrored, other times at an odd angle, but always
Whoa,
the same
yeah.
asset. So, take a look at this map. This is standalone.
Now that's not impossible because WoW caves, right? Like that's just what you did. You copy pasted.
Yeah, that's a little more like straightforward though, because it's literally just you just paste the same cave into a different hole in the ground. But they're talking about taking the same asset, but then trying to make it look different through other trickery like mirroring and whatnot.
Yeah.
Did they ever
Appeared
mirror
in the
WoW caves? I think
original-
they were always the same.
I think they were. Yeah.
layout.
They would turn to the left. They'd have the ledge on the right, and you would spiral down. And
Yeah, there were a couple different types of caves, but they were reused frequently.
But yeah, that's kind of what I got sold, right? Is that he's making a point that 1.0 overused their copy paste rather than using it, strategically. Like an inn in WoW, no one's insulted by the inn looking the same.
Yeah. And at least they made a few unique ends for every race and zone.
release of the game. Look at this area right here. Then notice how many times this exact asset is repeated.
Oh,
only that,
interesting.
But
Yeah.
the lighting they put so much effort in was not actual light. It was a very simple light map put straight onto the ground textures. And yeah, the environment didn't have any shadows.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that again. It didn't have shadows. This made day-night cycles awkward, as there was no actual global illumination per se on the environment. So to solve this, they added a blue tint at night. A blue tint. This made things such as campfires and lampposts look dull and not really lighting up anything at all. So seriously, Square, what?
There's some fire. There's some fire cast on him.
It's not the
Thinking-
worst thing in the world.
Nah, it's not that bad. I really like the cool idea of Ascians in 1.0 having no shadows. I think that's a badass idea. Sadly, it is highly unusable in like D&D because you just have to tell people. Like it's not something they organically discover. But it's a really cool idea.
This looks ridiculous. Let's look at some map designs again, shall we? Like this one for Lenosha.
Yeah.
Oh my
It's actually
God,
one of
yeah,
the
look at
less
that.
horrible ones. Still a lot of copy paste in this one, but there is
Okay, look at those
There's
paths.
one map.
Like, it's paths to nowhere.
all
Because you copy
1.0
and
players
pasted.
dread. One, so cruel, so evil, few even bear to listen to this own soundtrack. Oh no. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the Black Shroud 1.0.
Oh, yeah, we've seen this.
Seriously, look at this. Look at this, and remember that someone at Square Enix gave this design a thumbs up. This is the single worst case of copy-paste corridor waffle maze design crime I have ever seen.
Yeah.
Waffle maze. Oh my God.
To be fair, Grandma Leaves' place still sucks.
It's all tunnels.
Yeah.
Just like you can't cut across. Oh my God.
Looks fun and interactive.
Oh my God.
You know, the kind of place you would run into people in an organic adventure.
I would be stoked to see somebody else because I would feel like I was marooned in hell.
Also,
Oh my.
there was no
wow.
jump? There's no jumping in the game?
There's no jump in original 14.
It's hardcore.
What the-
You know, you can't
What
jump
the
in Dark
Guild
Souls.
Wars
so-
1 is going on here?
You can't jump in Dark Souls, so you know it's hard. It's hardcore. It's not a bad thing. It's just hardcore.
You can jump in Elden Ring.
Yeah, you can because Sekiro invented jumping. Or no, you could jump. You could jump. It just sucked because you would like have to run and click in the control stick. It really sucked.
I remember being very annoyed in Ocarina of Time. I was like, why do I have to run Z target and run backwards if I
Yeah.
want to jump?
Yeah. Yeah. No, you guys are right. You can jump in Dark Souls. It just sucks.
The only open areas in this map are these things, and they're just lazily copy-pasted throughout the intestine that is the 1.0 shroud.
It does look like it just
And this river. This goddamn river section. The cutscenes for the game were especially good. In fact, they might be the best part of the entire game. They were first drafted using a storyboard followed by motion capture to create the scene in a digitized format.
Nice.
And let's be honest, guys, Final Fantasy 1.0's cutscenes were impeccable, even by today's standards. Most impressive were the scenes that were voiced, as the lips were actually
It's just
synced
like
to the
legitimately
voice,
good camera work.
making
Yeah.
the scene look just like one you'd see in a good single-player game.
The outsiders! Stand down!
That's so much
However-
effort.
Yeah.
The devs' almost obsessive attention to graphical fidelity was one of the many reasons why this game was destined to fail. Take the opening cutscene for Limsa Lominsa, for example. It was one of the most challenging
watched that.
cutscenes for the devs to create, as it featured a real-time rendering of a scene involving multiple NPCs running around
right,
with
'cause your
monsters
character's in
swarming
it.
the deck, all
Yep.
happening at once, while a giant sea serpent jumps out of the sea and over the ship. The cherry on top with this scene is that each of the giant sea serpent's fins were individually animated, causing most computers at the time to either struggle past 10 FPS or flat out crashing to desktop due to the strain on the system.
But it came out for PlayStation, right? How did it do on PlayStation? It did come out for PlayStation, right? It didn't?
I was about to say, I thought it was. It did not launch on PC. Oh my! Did you just see how fast chat moved? I'm not sure I've ever seen chat move that quickly before.
That is so weird.
When it wasn't posting smiles. 2.0 was PS3.
So who got it on PlayStation then? Was that Yoshi like being like, we got to do this, we have to? I mean, it's such a unique thing to have an MMO on console.
Yeah, it makes it so much more accessible.
Yeah, and we know a ton of people that don't have the gaming PC for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, it was a failed promise. Okay, gross. And
Okay, so not delivered on.
and it
Okay.
probably wouldn't have run well there anyway. That would have been a real nightmare.
By the way, thanks for super chats, everybody. We'll catch up in between
Yeah,
cuts.
yeah. We got about a minute left on this one.
The engine responsible for this mess was Square Enix's own middleware engine, Crystal Tools, originally used in Final Fantasy XIII. The
Much beloved.
engine was customized to better fit Final Fantasy XIV, but as you've just seen countless examples of, it proved unsuitable to the needs of the game, rendering its internal structure broken. This is all in hindsight, of course, as back in 2009, when the game was about to be revealed, Square Enix had already approved the designs and was ready to announce the game. But nothing would make Final Fantasy XIV players shiver more than this thing.
Oh, you gonna?
This monster not only made the game run slower than your grandma, it was everywhere in the main cities. This monstrosity is known by many names, but the most common name used for it is Flower Pot. Seriously. Flower Pots. But that's all the time we have in this video.
Was
In
that
the
the
next episode,
offender?
we will look closer at the flower pots on the rest of the world design.
And this is why we have
thank
square
you so
grapes.
much for watching.
Yeah.
I hope I didn't bore you to death. If you're still alive, make sure to thumbs up this
What?
video.
That was a
if you
great
liked
video.
it,
What?
And crave for the continuation. And
We
leave
are
a
still
comment with
alive.
your
and
we are
favorite
still
thumbs
alive.
up the video, Kyle.
1.0.
When did you make this
Or
video?
Just let me know what
Thumbs
you
up
think
the
of the
Kyle.
video. That
Thumbs up the video,
works too.
Kyle.
And hey,
6 years
subscribe
ago.
as well
Thumbs
to
up.
get notified.
Thumbs up. Thumbs up. Where's subscribe? You got it. Nice job.
Are you on the GG account right now?
I am, yes.
Yes. Nice. Nice. That was good.
Yeah, that's a good rundown. That's-
Some of it's like okay, yeah, I know this from NoClip, but a lot of that was new information for me.
Yeah, no, particularly the well, NoClip is more of like a look at production, right? And it's a bit more heroic, of course, because this is a player's opinion looking at the game.
They still do a pretty damn good job talking about 1.0 and why it didn't work.
Definitely. But the amount of like copy paste, right? It was more about the personal stories of the team, which makes NoClip a great documentary.
Yeah.
Oh, NoClip used this as a source. Interesting.
Oh, cool.
That makes sense too, because that'd be the tough part about NoClip is you are not an expert in all the games you're talking about because you're talking about so many different games.
I mean, I'm not even sure it really would matter because so much of their documentaries are about the history of the development. And it's
Yeah.
like, well, were you a developer on the game? No, then it doesn't matter. You need to go find sources anyway.
Oh no, did 1.0 have butt sliders and we lost them? We don't get butt sliders anymore?
What? Oh,
'Cause my Ellison could use some cheeks. He is severely lacking.
dude, you look like what was the old Jeff Foxworthy joke? You look like a frog stood up and put on pants.
I've got Hank Hill butt. Do I still have those horrible pants? I mean, they're great. Like my monster hunting pants. Are they in here?
Don't worry, we'll get cheeks soon, Kyle. because
Yeah,
we're
maybe
gonna
the big
go-
Ellison update where
We're
where
gonna
I
go
get
to
a butt.
Nier. No, we're going to Nier. We're gonna go.
Oh,
Nier,
right,
Nier
yeah,
short.
yeah.
I haven't played Nier. A lot of people tell me I would like it, and I believe them. But the anime looks very pretty.
Nice.